Are we rolling? Great. I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
We had such high hopes for Dolittle, and that was all thanks to you, Robert Downey Jr. It looked like it would be an exciting adventure movie about the classic hero who could talk to animals.
Standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her.
Okay, I'm under the impression Plimpton got the wrong pages.
But the trailer didn't tell us anything about what to expect. This movie was confusing, and at times you looked confused yourself. There were so many characters and so many storylines that we could barely keep up. Plus, some of those jokes made us seriously uncomfortable. This movie crossed the line more than once. Critics and audiences haven't been too pleased with Dolittle, despite its huge budget and all-star cast. And they're pointing a finger at the movie's odd scenes and off-putting jokes. Keep watching as we reveal the 10 strangest things about Dolittle. Oh, and by the way, this video contains loads of spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Put me in the movie or it's Downey for dessert.
There's no doubt that Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor, and he's no stranger to having a British accent. He was a huge success when he played Sherlock Holmes in 2009 and 2011, but the #1 complaint in all the movie reviews is his accent as Dr. Dolittle. We aren't quite sure what happened here. Maybe the movie didn't spring for an accent coach, which is surprising considering Dolittle's huge budget. Maybe they wanted Dr. Dolittle to have a mystery accent, but they missed the mark. He has a bit of a Welsh accent, and he spends most of the movie mumbling, but it also sounds a little British and Scottish. There are even moments where he sounds like he might have an Irish or Indian accent. At one point, we could have sworn we heard a Jamaican accent. It's a huge contrast to the British accent that Rex Harrison had in the 1967 version. He always sounded posh and articulate, but Downey is hard to understand through most of the new movie. It goes from annoying to downright distracting pretty quickly.
Okay, stop. This is a family movie.
We are the first to admit that we appreciate a good pun. In fact, historically, puns used to be considered one of the most intelligent types of humor.
What about the time Lincoln got into Mom's cosmetics? There's a story you couldn't make up.
Oh, how that has changed. One of the biggest critiques of the humor in Dolittle is that the script tries too hard to be funny. They cram in as many jokes as possible, most of which don't land like they're supposed to. And when they attempt to use a pun, they fall flat. One of the best examples is the scene with the whales. Dr. Dolittle's main enemy is Mudfly, Queen Victoria's aide. There's a scene where they are fighting on board Dolittle's ship. A pod of whales shows up to help the good doctor. One whale tells his friends that he can't believe he is flipping them off. Okay, we got a good chuckle out of that. Whales have flippers. Flipping someone off usually involves a middle finger and is a really rude gesture. But the joke didn't make a lot of sense in that context, especially not for kids.
We're gonna need a bigger shark.
I think you meant to say boat.
It's pretty clear that Dolittle is a kid's movie. The humor and all the talking animals are really geared toward making children laugh. Of course, we know that most kids' movies sneak in plenty of adult humor. Dolittle is no exception. But this next joke might have taken things a little too far. Yoshi is a polar bear played by John Cena. Dr. Dolittle encounters Yoshi on his travels. You would probably expect a character voiced by a famous wrestler to be all tough and confident, and polar bears can be vicious animals. But Yoshi is full of anxiety. He's got a lot of issues, and this Arctic animal hates being cold. He wants to go someplace warm. Yoshi makes a joke that his father left when he was young to chase some seals. He never came back. This joke seems pretty dark for a kid's movie. First of all, what about all the kids who can relate? And second, poor Yoshi. Jokes about absent fathers are made in movies all the time, but was Dolittle the right place for this one?
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Overall, the humor in Dolittle is mostly slapstick and geared toward kids. There are a lot of jokes about rear ends and related things, but more than once, Dolittle gets dark. It's not just Yoshi's tragic backstory. The squirrel is voiced by Craig Robinson. He is one hilarious comedic actor. You might recognize him from his roles in Seth Rogen movies or from The Office. He definitely brings his signature humor to this erratic little squirrel, brought to Dr. Dolittle by Tommy, who is played by Harry Collette. Tommy is a boy who doesn't want to hurt animals, and he was being pressured into duck hunting. He accidentally hits Fane with his bullet, and Dr. Dolittle saves the squirrel's life. It's clear he is suffering from post-traumatic stress. He's anxious and has tons of flashbacks. PTSD is a real disorder, and it's no joke. It can be really scary to relieve traumatic incidents. It's possible that Dolittle went a little too far with Fleming's injury. Film reviewers have a lot of negative things to say about Dolittle, but one good thing that many of them agree on is Jason Mantzoukas. Jason was in The Dictator and has also appeared on hit shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good Place. It's pretty much a guarantee that Jason can make any role funny, as he proved in Dolittle. Jason plays James the Dragonfly. This is one dramatic bug. James has relationship drama with his aunt girlfriend, which leads to a ton of funny scenes. The Dragonfly finds out that his girlfriend is marrying a scorpion. Is that even possible in the real world? Anyway, he is super jealous of the scorpion. He asks what the new bug has that he doesn't and suggests it's his big stinger. Big stinger is definitely a euphemism for another body part. This probably went over the heads of most of the kids in the audience, but all the adults knew exactly what James was talking about.
You got the memo, right? Today we're just gonna mix things up and reenact some classics.
Okay.
You're cool with that, right?
We love that there are so many famous stars in Dolittle. It was fun to see who would pop up next. Emma Thompson had a huge role, and so did Rami Malek. But we also heard from Octavia Spencer, Tom Holland, Ralph Fiennes, and even Selena Gomez. Even the humans were really famous. Michael Sheen and Antonio Banderas were the main bad guys, but this huge cast was part of the movie's major issues. There were a ton of characters to keep up with, and most of them didn't advance the plot. Each new animal had their own backstory and didn't work together to make a cohesive movie. Audiences have complained about getting whiplash while trying to keep up. The movie moves so quickly from one character to the next that it's really confusing. It was like the movie's creators just added characters so they could get more big names in. It's the main reason why Dolittle has an under 20% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. We could have traded a few less stars for a lot more plot. Which scene has everyone grossed out? Keep watching to find out how the finale went way over the line.
It's so fluffy, I'm going to die.
I'm gonna die. I can't breathe.
Dr. Dolittle takes care of almost every animal he meets. He loves animals and is dedicated to helping them. All animals except one, that is. Dr. Dolittle has a sworn enemy. This isn't Queen Victoria's advisor or King Rasooli. No, Dr. Dolittle's arch nemesis is a grisly, mean tiger named Barry. Barry is voiced by the incredible Ralph Fiennes. You probably know him best as Lord Voldemort from the Harry Potter movies. He plays such a great villain. For a lot of reasons that don't entirely add up, Dr. Dolittle has to fight Barry. It's more than a trial by combat. It's a full-on gladiator-style scene that feels really out of place. Even the kids in the audience know that things are going to get grisly. This scene is really dark and it feels out of place in a movie full of quips. We also can't help but feel that it's a little cliche. Fighting a tiger? Hasn't that been done in lots of movies before?
Do I have the role?
Well, actually, you see,
There are plenty of genuinely funny moments in Dolittle. Some of those one-liners had us laughing pretty hard, but some of the other jokes made our brains do somersaults. One of those jokes has to do with the ducks. First of all, the entire scene with Tommy hunting looks like the classic video game, Duck Hunt. It's definitely meant for the adults in the audience, and we enjoyed the nostalgic reference. But another duck joke wasn't as easy to understand. Oscar winner Octavia Spencer voices a duck named Dab Dab. She gets spit on in one scene, and she says not to worry because it will just slide right off. This is referencing the old saying, water off a duck's back, but you have to know something about ducks to get it. Ducks have really oily feathers that cause water to slide off, but some kids don't know that yet, so the joke didn't land. It seems like the script was just trying too hard to include extra jokes. We're back to James the Dragonfly with this next moment that went too far. The bugs in Dolittle are no joke, and James is more than a little peculiar. No wonder his girlfriend wants to marry someone else. James finds out that his girlfriend, who is an ant, is set to marry a scorpion. James is heartbroken, but he doesn't just cry and eat a pint of dragonfly ice cream, he totally loses it. Now, the ant colony is a tightly knit family, and when Jason shows up to destroy the wedding, it looks like another, much more adult film. This scene is straight out of The Godfather. They even have the wedding, like the famous line about coming to The Godfather on the day of his daughter's wedding. Things get really gruesome. James is set on making a bad situation much worse. This whole bug mafia scene is pretty funny, but it's definitely dark. This is one unstable dragonfly. As funny as he is, the ant probably made the right choice in choosing someone else.
Oh, are we rolling? Great.
Dr. Dolittle is looking for a cure for Queen Victoria, and it's from a certain tree. At the end of the movie, he has defeated the bad guys and found what he was searching for, but there is a dragon guarding that tree, and things take a quick turn for the worse. Dolittle figures out that this dragon isn't just depressed. He's clogged up, and we aren't talking about his nose. Now we know veterinarians have to do some gross stuff, and we didn't need to see Dolittle do an exam of the dragon's rear end. He starts pulling out lots of items from the dragon's derriere. There are human bones and armor. There's even a set of bagpipes. This scene made everyone in the audience uncomfortable, and just when you think it's over, it gets worse. How can anything get weirder than Robert Downey Jr. sticking his hand inside a CGI dragon? During this exam, the dragon passes gas in a loud way right in Dolittle's face. We're just glad this wasn't one of those 4D movies with smell effects. Did you enjoy watching the Dolittle film? Tell us what you thought about the movie in the comments. 10 times Dolittle went way too far. That's a wrap. Thanks for liking and subscribing. See you next time.